Violent architecture are structures that were planned, developed, and created to be inaccessible to humans. Harmful by design. Violent architecture is the opposite of accessibility. An example of violent architecture would be a bench that has boards partitioning the seats so that only small bodies will fit there, or that it would be very uncomfortable to lie down in there. Violent architecture isn't architecture that's gonna jump out and get you. But when I say violent architecture, what I mean is that it's going against the needs of life. Violent architecture is part of a system that has no sit, no lie laws. So it's like laws that criminalize poverty and criminalize disability, criminalize resting or just needing to sit down, trying to find shelter that's safe at night, out of the rain. Violent architecture is part of a system that sweeps people like garbage, sweeps unhoused poverty scholars. It seems to me that the places that poverty scholars and poor people need to frequent are the spaces that are the most policed and have the most violent architecture. Places like Social Security buildings or federal buildings or places where people access things that they need, resources. This is the now closed down community care center in downtown Olympia. Lots of poor and disabled people frequented this place. It was a hub for resources, and it was over-policed, and as you can see, has some very obvious violent architecture. The lovely, huge metal canisters of huge rocks. When I first started seeing violent architecture, it really reminded me of when I had lived in Seattle. I had sat in on a planning meeting, a public town hall of sorts, that was talking about the new library that was coming to downtown Seattle. And they started talking about how they were planning to put in these lights that were a certain color temperature or made a certain sound that made people sick if they stayed in the bathroom too long. I'm still in shock by learning that. I'm still in shock to learn that. This is Deschutes Parkway, where they've put permanent no parking signs and also these temporary signs to deter people in RVs or people who sleep in their cars. So many fences in Olympia, fences everywhere that people would rest. Especially unhoused neighbors and disabled people, just where people would be sleeping. They put fences up in doorways. They put fences, this offensive fence in front of this mural. You know, when I moved from San Francisco to Olympia, there was no shortage of finding violent architecture here. The funny thing about Olympia and violent architecture that's different from San Francisco is that they kind of try to make it look pretty or something. Like the little water waves at the library downtown. You love the library, hate the violent architecture. The artesian well, place where people would gather. Olympia Artesian Well, purchased by the Olympia City Council in July 2010 to preserve community access to this historic free-flowing water. There was an artesian well that just sprouts water in a parking lot downtown Olympia. It's a gathering place. Lots of unhoused folks, street folks, community, people gather around water. Water's life. The city, a few years ago, decided to create a park. It's great that they have a public bathroom there, and it's now fenced in and closed down. They're just displacing people. People are still here. In response to learning about all this violent architecture, I created a little stencil project that I called Bring Your Own Chair. And Bring Your Own Chair is something that disabled people do, people with different bodies do, fat people do. We can't fit into a chair at a theater, so we bring our own chair. We can't walk somewhere, we bring our own chair.
May you be home, may you be held, may you be known.